Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm. In this week's episode, we sit down with Danny Wuerffel from the Wuerffel Foundation as he reflects on his playing career, shares his passion for community service, and talks about the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy and its collaboration with the Allstate AFCA Good Works team. But first, a word from CoachComm.
Deuce left, check with me. If they're in quarters match, we're going to Pittsburgh or Ohio.
They're in zero.
Let's go Hippo, Seattle, wide choice. If we call the protection right, it's 6.
When a play call is the difference between winning and losing, your headset choice could be your most important decision. When the call counts, CoachComm is the only choice for clear, dependable communication. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
We got it, guys. Good job.
Now, let's get inside the headset with Danny Wuerffel.
I typically ask at the beginning of every podcast, when did you decide you want to be a part of this great game? When did you decide you want to be a ball coach? And I'm going to ask you, did you ever have any desires to be a ball coach?
Man, if I had 5 lives to live, I would definitely be a coach, a football coach in one of those lives. I think there's no greater way to impact young people. I love competing. I love the game of football. I love all about the team chemistry. And so I've thought about it hard. I just think, in my life and the way it's unfolded, there's been some other things, and you only get one life to really live. And so there's been some other things that have kind of risen to the forefront for me. But I've always thought about it and have tremendous respect for all those coaches out there.
Absolutely. Well, you've maybe not have coached, but you've definitely impacted the game in some very, very unique ways. And let's kind of maybe walk your career a little bit. I think one of the first ways and how, many of us know you is as a, having a prolific career at the collegiate level. I see your Florida Gator gear decked out in the back. It looks good. But culminating with a national championship and a Heisman Trophy. We'll talk about the coaching part of it a little bit, but I mean, I play college ball, nowhere near your type of career. I mean, this is what you dream of, right? Going to win a natty, going and being the best player in the country, all those kind of things. Just talk a little bit about your career when you look back on it, what it meant to you, and how were you able to achieve such high goals?
Man, well, I often wonder if it really happened because it was such a magical time. And the uniqueness, the specialness of being at Florida Field at the Swamp for me started actually before college because my high school team won the state championship at Florida Field as a senior. And, that was largely due to a coach that came in and really created some unique opportunities for us and me. And because of that, because of my high school coach and that success, there was a college coach named Steve Spurrier who watched that game. And they'd been recruiting me a bit, but once he saw that game, he's like, I really, really want to get this kid. So I was blessed to be at Florida and to play for Coach Spurrier. And, in fact, I talked to him this morning. We're just reflecting on, at the time we knew what we did was fun and special, but to think about winning 4 straight SECs, to win a national title, to play in 2 national championship games, to win the Heisman. I mean, I can't even express how unreal it seems now and how grateful I am. And, to me, it's a testimony to the coaching, the program, the teammates, and just everybody who was really unique and special and just all sort of came together. It was magical, man.
Yeah, magical is probably a great word for it. Now, I do want to, I'm going to talk about your NFL career real quick, but you mentioned your high school coach already, and you talked about just talking to Coach Spurrier this morning, which definitely means that these guys probably had some type of really significant impact. But also in the NFL, you spent time with the Saints, Packers, Bears, Redskins, and Texans. Was there any coach there kind of along the way, along that journey that, you get exposed to a lot of staffs and a lot of different coaching styles and all that kind of stuff? Was there anybody that kind of stood out in your NFL journey?
Yeah, I had a unique opportunity to play for Iron Mike, Coach Ditka.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people forget he coached the Saints for a few years.
That's right.
And because we weren't very good, that's why that was not the highlight of his or my football career. But, the unique part of him that people don't see, you see the Iron Mike and you see the tough side, but there was an incredibly kind, compassionate, and generous side to Mike Ditka, and I saw him take care of more people and help more folks than anybody. I thought that was really special to see. And then, several of the coaches were pretty amazing, but I'll never forget Dick Duran, who I played for in Chicago. He was the head coach in Chicago when I was there in 2001. And there were some things that happened that you never made the news. There was a mistake that was made at the end of the game and timing that almost cost us the game. And, he took the brunt of it and he just really owned it. And I later found out, it was one of the quality control assistant coaches that just made a mistake, but no one ever heard that guy's name.
Yeah.
Because Coach Duran took the blame and was really a great leader of men. He's not probably the icon of head coaches you think of, but the impact that he had and the success he's had in many ways as a coach is amazing.
Absolutely. Now, not many of us would get the opportunity or have had the opportunity to play at the high school, collegiate level, professional level, let alone, win a state championship, a national championship, and whatever success that you had there in the NFL. As you kind of reflect on these guys, they are all very impactful in different ways, because these high school coaches, they got a little bit of a different agenda than maybe what an NFL coach has in regards to the player and coach relationship. What were some of those special qualities and major differences between some of those guys that you end up garnering a lot of respect for over your playing career?
It's interesting. When I was in the NFL, I just would randomly ask teammates and other people that I played, I'm like, who is the most impactful person in your life? And without question, other than perhaps a parent or a grandparent, like a high school football coach was the most common answer, was the person that impacted their life more than anyone else. And I can just see that across the board in so many ways. And I mean, I can recite for you the mantra of character development that my high school coach now, 33 years ago. I mean, this mantra of champion. C stands for character. H stands for heart. A stands for attitude. M is mental toughness. P stands for poise. I stands for taking initiative. O for others, and N for nerve. And there was a sermon behind every word every day.
Wow.
And instilling those values into us. I remember Coach Spurrier and just the different ways he would teach us about being flexible in different situations. And then how do you combine being excellent with having a good time? How can you be intense and have fun? In so many different ways. But I also think the game itself and the best coaches help you realize that it's a tough game, but life is tough.
Right. And
you learn that while you play football. It's not about you when you're on a football team, but neither is life. You're not, if you're the best player on your team, you're not that important. You are important, but like you're part of a bigger thing and you can't control things. And like, these are lessons you need to learn for life that the best coaches and the game itself can teach you.
Absolutely, man. Well, you talked about some time with the New Orleans Saints with Coach Ditka. But something special also happened in your life around that time. You kind of began to get involved with Desire Street Ministries. What led you to get involved? You're a big time player, right? You don't have to do anything. Do these type of things. What kind of drew you to want to go give back to that local community?
Well, it was clearly a result of my faith. I think the upbringing and then some of the things I did in college and the people that were mentoring me to the point where when I went to New Orleans, I really knew, part of my mission there was to be a quarterback. And I had hoped I'd be the guy that could bring New Orleans its first Super Bowl. But that didn't happen. We like to say we just laid the foundation for Drew Brees and the rest of the guys. But my second mission, without question, was, what do I feel God would want me to be a part of in the city while I'm here?
Yeah.
And so I was on the hunt, literally looking for opportunities for that. And then, I heard about this organization and what was on and off the worst neighborhood in the country. And it came to different factors that were rated by Housing and Urban Development. The Desire neighborhood, the Desire Housing Project. And I learned of an organization there, Desire Street Ministries, that was working with young men and women. And I just went down and was really, Mario, just shocked at I knew that, I guess theoretically, I knew there was tough areas in our own country, but I usually would think about poverty like somewhere overseas or a third world country. And just to see, and now over my life to realize that there's like these pockets all around in every neighborhood. It's almost like time forgot, and where kids that are born there simply just don't have the same opportunities that I had growing up, and it just really didn't seem right or fair. So I was able to get involved, volunteer, and it ultimately led to kind of my life's work at Desire Street.
That's awesome. Now, anybody that was alive and aware around that, around the early 2000s, they can remember the Hurricane Katrina coming and ripping through, the Gulf of Mexico, and the levee breaking there in New Orleans, and some of these places that have became just a part of your life. Just been down there pouring into those people was absolutely destroyed. Just I remember the response from New Orleans Saints. As a player, I was in college when that happened. I just remember just all the chaos. I remember guys from New Orleans coming in and actually moving to Waco when I was over at Baylor, and moving into Texas, and all the catastrophe that kind of came with it. What was it like from where you were standing, in the neighborhood that you spent a lot of time at? What was it like for you and the Saints to go and support those people during that time?
Man, it was a cataclysmic event for us, for the ministry, for the family, for the city. Incredibly difficult. We, my wife and I, we lost our house and everything in it, and we had a 1-story house. And the Ninth Ward was really damaged, as many know, and so forth. And originally they had anticipated, or they had suspected, that maybe tens of thousands of people had died, and all the people that we knew and loved, you couldn't get in touch with.
Yeah.
And so there was a terrifying time where you just didn't know who lived and who didn't. And I remember a moment where I was with my wife and my son at the time, he was a year and a half, and just realized that we had lost our home. That was the first thing that we saw, was that our home was gone. But it was actually interesting because while I realized I had lost everything that we owned, I was with my family and they were safe.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had everything I really needed. And I think that was a big lesson for me on like, what's the difference in what you want and what you need, and like what is really important. I remember going back in afterwards, and there was just trash everywhere, and you would gut the houses and pile everything on the street for the city to come take it, and to realize that, like, not but a few weeks earlier, all that is now trash was somebody's treasure.
Yeah.
And it caused me to ask another question, I think, driven by my faith, is like, what am I investing my life in? And is it one day going to be trash, or is it one day going to matter, and will it last? And so it was a big shift for me. It was a huge shift for Desire Street. We had to find kids that had been dispersed all over the country, and we regrouped. We had a boarding school for several years where we took care of the kids. We rebuilt the facility in New Orleans, and it's doing great now. But it also allowed us and caused us to think about how can we help other neighborhoods, not just in New Orleans. And so Desire Street shifted our model. And while I don't coach football, Desire Street now is a little bit like a mentoring and a coaching model for urban ministry leaders. And we partner with amazing leaders that live in under-resourced neighborhoods. We're hosting a bunch here in Atlanta next week for training. We do retreats, we do coaching. And our goal is to help amazing leaders thrive and be sustainable in their work. And we're finishing a 5-year plan right now, Mario, where we've impacted 20 neighborhoods over the past 5 years, and we're just real excited about that.
That's amazing. And you kind of segued to my next question and answered it there a little bit, but I do want to mention that you became the executive director of Desire Street Ministries, correct, in 2006, and kind of took a true leadership role, and was kind of able to spread that and continue to be impactful with that project. That's amazing, man. And it's just interesting. I remember it from a TV, just sitting behind a TV safe in my home, and just being able to, I'm asking you all these questions about these other people, and the first thing first is your house gets destroyed, and just what a crazy time for everybody, and for you to be able to step up and find opportunities and life lessons in that whole deal. That's amazing, and thanks for sharing that, man. And just a question off that, I guess, just being in the league and still having this, big opportunity to, make a lot of money, live out your dreams as an athlete. Why was it always important for you to be able to give back to your communities, regardless of where you were?
Well, I mean, I just think that is part of the ethos of what it can and should mean to be human. Life is a team sport. It's kind of like if you're on a team, you can only think about yourself, or you can try to help make everybody around you better while you try to improve.
Yeah.
And so I think, we should all drive and be hard to be successful in whatever endeavor we're in. But real significance comes when we kind of raise everyone up along with us. And so it's just always been part of my life. And I think whether you have a small platform or a big platform, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have much money, you can care for others. And, one of the most cool things that I've experienced is, I kind of always thought, when you make a lot of money, then you can be generous.
Yeah.
But the most generous people I see are families that live in Desire Street neighborhoods that have nothing and are sharing the little bit that they have with their neighbors. And there's some really amazing testimonies of what people do to care for one another that don't have much. And so to me, just capturing that and trying to live that out, that's part of my life's mission. That's why we started the Wuerffel Foundation, to inspire service and unity in the world. And so, I think whether you're an NFL player or whatever it is you do, you have an opportunity to give back and make the world a bit better.
Yeah, you are awesome, man. You were hitting all my segues. Now, you just said why we established the Wuerffel Foundation. So in 2005, you established the Wuerffel. Make sure I say this correctly. You established the Wuerffel Trophy and Foundation. Was it in conjunction at the same time?
Originally, it was just the Wuerffel Trophy. It was its own thing. There was a group of guys in Florida that wanted to start an award, and they came to me, and my first reaction was, man, the last thing the world needs is another college football award. But they said, no, this is different. This is something about not yards or touchdowns or sacks or receptions, but taking care of people off the field. It's about community service. And it was ultimately the former director of the Heisman Trophy, Rudy Riska, who called me and said, Danny, the world could use a trophy like this. And I think you should do it. So we started the Wuerffel Trophy back then, and we've been growing it. And then about 4 years ago, we launched the Wuerffel Foundation to better inspire service and unity in the world with some other endeavors and some other mission points. And then we merged the trophy with the foundation in the last few years, and we're just doing great.
That's awesome, man. And just for, I'm sure anybody's keeping up with us on social, they're seeing that name pop up on a lot of our stuff at the very moment. Just talk to us a little bit about who's able to kind of receive that. What is that trophy for? Who are the recipients of that?
Yes, well, the Wuerffel Trophy, which is now the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that partnership with Allstate and AFCA. But basically, it's a Division I college football player. And it's an award for community service. And so we look, it's someone who does need to be playing on the field and has to do well academically to kind of be eligible. But the bulk of the voting is all about the type of community service, the volume of community service, the creativity, the lives impacted. And, we live in a day and age where, most athletes aren't on the news unless they're the best player on the best team, or they do something silly and they get in trouble. And yet there's so many young people now that are doing incredible work that, part of our mission to inspire service is to show that. And when you highlight anyone, and especially college athletes doing great work, I mean, it's contagious. It's inspiring. And so, a Division I college football player, the SIDs nominate them, and it's been an incredible journey.
Well, you said something interesting there, and my brain was kind of in the same place when you were saying that. You were saying like the disparity between why you would pop up on the news and you have all these amazing programs across the country, not just at the FBS level either, but you got thousands of college football programs with young men doing amazing things within their communities, back at their own homes, all these kind of deals. And it made me ask the question, like, why you? All these guys had won a Heisman. You've had a guy here that's won a Heisman. this guy on the staff at the Heisman Trophy says, let's call up, let's call up Dan and let's get him on the line and say, hey, we want to do this and we want to name it after you. Why were you the guy that stood out so much to those guys during that time?
Oh, I don't know. I think that originally the first crew were kind of from my area in Florida that really wanted to do this, and they had a group there that were already giving awards for different things, and I guess just some of the different community service things that I had done, and the work with Desire Street they felt was inspiring. So I was very humbled, obviously, and it's been an incredible journey.
Yeah, that's awesome when you go and you do things and. That wasn't the end goal, I'm sure, to get a trophy after you. And the next thing you know, people are watching. They've seen your impact, and that's awesome. That's the awesome part of it. But anyways, you mentioned, here in this last year, you've partnered with the Allstate AFCA Good Works team to jointly honor players who have high commitment to community service. So this is very new. Just talk to us a little bit about that partnership and some of the things you're excited about with it.
Yeah, well, we've been developing the Wuerffel Trophy over these past several years. And, when you look at the landscape of college football awards, there's lots of great awards for on-field. There's some great awards for, the Campbell Trophy for the Scholar Athlete of the Year. But when you look at what the Allstate AFCA Good Works team has been about, it's kind of a very, very similar, and you see them as a kind of like an all-American team for good works. And then notice that we're kind of like an individual award for good works. And, someone once told me, if you're on a journey, every now and then stop and see who's kind of hiking the same mountain with you. And if it makes sense, maybe grab arms and journey together. And so we reached out to the AFCA crew and to the Allstate crew, and we just started a conversation and we're like, hey, does this make sense if we're both moving in this direction, that if we somehow join efforts, we can both accomplish our goals to honor and highlight these young men and inspire people for service. And it was an incredible journey over this past year, and I'm just so excited. Love the AFCA, love the Coaches Association and all the work that you do. Love the Good Works team, and to kind of merge these two programs into one program under one umbrella, I think brings a lot more attention to both. Kind of if you can ever do a 1 + 1 = 3. Some people say that's a good type of partnership.
Yeah.
It's not great math, but it's good. It's a good partnership, and so we're thrilled. So as it stands, the 111 nominees on the Division I side for the Good Works, the AFCA Allstate Good Works team, which are also then the nominees for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy, just been kind of brought down to the final 11. And so that is the Good Works team has been announced, and those will also be the semifinalists now for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy, which they'll get highlighted throughout the year. We'll narrow that down to 3 finalists in a few months, and then we'll announce our winner on the College Football Award Show.
That is awesome, man. And as you mentioned, it's been whittled down a little bit, but there's some voting ahead of us still, right? What's the process, if you don't mind sharing, now that the AFCA Allstate Good Work team has been announced?
Yeah, absolutely. So now that the process to go from the 11 AFCA Allstate Good Works team members to picking the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy award recipient is a voting process that anyone actually can be a part of. It's a fan vote. One of the votes is through a fan vote. So that's an opportunity for anyone to see and to vote. We have all the former Wuerffel Trophy winners vote, as well as the initial board and a very amazing national selection committee as well that includes coaches, a lot of very prominent broadcasters and different folks that are voting as well. So that process will happen, and that will determine who our final 3 finalists are, and then ultimately that same group will vote for the winner.
Man, well, oftentimes you get these opportunities to be associated with things, and just seeing, that name pop up, like I said, on our social media timeline, to be associated with you, your work, what you've done, to be associated with Allstate. It's an honor from my seat. I'm not very involved with some of that stuff behind the scenes, but it's just an honor. So I appreciate everything that you've done. I would love for you to, if you wouldn't mind, just really kind of sitting in a lot of different seats and most importantly, been in the seat of, servant leadership and serving communities and all that kind of thing. What advice do you have for coaches or any players that we have listening just about, going out and finding opportunities to serve their communities and being great teammates and just being great people?
Man, well, I think, again, it's not that you don't care about your own success, or you don't want to be the best player you can be, or you don't want to invest the time and energy it takes to be great. You have to be passionate about what you do, whether you're selling cars, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a custodian, or whether you're a football player. You want to be the best in your field. And so I think caring about others doesn't diminish that. What it does is it adds to that. It says that to be complete, to be a whole thriving individual, my life can't just be about me. You see that on a football team, the people that come together. My high school football team was a huge underdog in the state championship. We were playing against Fort Lauderdale St. Thomas Aquinas, who I think has won 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many state championships.
Yeah.
And we went out for the captain toss, and I literally felt like David and Goliath. Like all of our big guys went out there, and all their big guys were bigger. But we had a real unique bond amongst us. I can't really even describe it. That went way back to how we did training camp and the friendships. And something about that made us all better. And I think something when you care about your team, when you care about the world around you, it makes us all better. And so I think, if you really want to flourish as a human being, as a competitor, be the best you can be, but that also includes helping other people be the best they can be. And, I think there's so many people experience life different than the way I do and the way you do. Everyone's experience is unique. And man, there are people that are hurting. There are people that are suffering. And sure, we all make bad choices. We all have. And that contribute to it. But some people, man, the deck is stacked so far against them that with just a little bit of support and a little bit of help, they can have a chance to thrive as well. And so I think that's my message to myself. That's my message to the world. And, I think coaches get it because they know that if they can get their teams to work and care for each other, they're going to be better. And so is the world.
Dan, I just want to say thank you for being a great ambassador for our game. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Obviously within the gridiron, everybody knows and respects what you're able to do there. But, more importantly, just, beyond that gridiron, just been a fantastic person and bringing this trophy and this opportunity for these young people to be excited about and, want to strive to go and just be great outside of the lines as well. So anyways, before I let you go, if there's any kind of social media hashtags or emails that people should know about or follow, please share them now, and then we'll make sure to pop them in the show notes so people can stay connected to this deal.
Oh yeah. Well, kind of you can never spell my name right. DannyWuerffel.com kind of connects to everything, but at Danny Wuerffel for Twitter and socials, DesireStreet.org, WuerffelFoundation.org. You can find me pretty easily. And we're doing a lot of exciting things. We got a big fundraiser coming up before the Florida-Georgia football game. We're hosting one of the world's biggest celebrity pro-am pickleball tournaments. I'm loving this new phase of life, playing pickleball, competing pretty high level on it, and absolutely love it. So we're doing some fundraisers there, picklebowl.net, if the pickleball addicts are listening. And really excited about a lot of things happening in life and appreciate the opportunity to share that with you, Mario. And again, just want to thank Coaches Association for all they've done over all the years, developing of the Good Works team, and of course, Allstate for kind of putting all this together and helping tell the story.
Amen. Well, we appreciate you again, man, and have a great one. And I look forward to seeing who hoists that trophy up here at the end of the year. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good one.
CoachComm has been delivering tough headsets for tough teams for more than 31 years. It's why 97% of FBS teams and thousands of high schools across the country rely on CoachComm. Get the best for your team. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. If you'd like to learn more about this week's episode, head over to AFCA.com. There, you can access every episode and find corresponding show notes. Remember, you can catch every episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm on wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback helps us improve and grow. Keep up with the latest news by following us on social media. Connect with us at Inside the Headset, and remember to tag us when you share your favorite episodes. For more updates on all things AFCA, be sure to follow the @WeAreAFCA social media accounts. If you're not a part of the AFCA community yet, visit AFCA.com to join thousands of NFL, college, and high school coaches nationwide and across the globe. Elevate your coaching game with an AFCA membership. You'll gain exclusive access to the annual AFCA convention, magazine, digital library, and AFCA Insider email. Stay up to date with the latest stories and news on the AFCA website. More than just a convention, the AFCA offers continuous education, guidance, networking, and more. Celebrate the past and shape the future with the AFCA. It's about fostering exceptional coaches who create outstanding teams and even better individuals. Invest in your skills and make a lasting impact today by engaging with the AFCA. Your journey starts here.